So, hi everybody, my name is Patricia. I'm a researcher at the Instituto Tecnológico de Informática in Valencia, in Spain, and my background is in computer science. I did my PhD in animal-computer interaction, studying playful technological systems for animals and humans. And my research is currently focused on technologies to support mental health and well-being, especially focusing on augmented and virtual reality. So during my PhD, our last study focused on how technology could play a role in remote playful interactions between humans and animals, where hospitalized children could interact with a dog remotely, using a mobile app to play with the dog by manipulating a robotic ball, and how that could affect the children's well-being. And recently, we have been collaborating with a local entity that provides animal-assisted therapy, and we wanted to explore this human-animal relationship mediated by technology in more formal activities such as animal-assisted interventions. So as some of you may know, animal-assisted therapy is a goal-oriented plan and a structured therapeutic intervention directed or delivered by health, education, or human service professionals. And these interventions focus on enhancing the physical, cognitive, behavioral, or emotional functioning of the human who receives the intervention. And studies have shown the numerous benefits they have in different contexts, such as reducing cortisol levels, blood pressure, reduce feelings of loneliness, improving psychosocial well-being and social abilities. So in these scenarios where a social human-animal interaction takes place, the animal acts as a social facilitator. And it's even more than that. In these scenarios, these are perceived as a judgment-free context in which the human might feel less observed, more relaxed. And this is one of the reasons that makes animal-assisted therapy effective even in stressful or uncomfortable situations. And it has been widely used for people with dementia, with autism, functional diversity, among others. However, although these interventions are really useful, they are not always feasible. There might be patients, for example, if we think at hospitals who might benefit from the intervention, but they have compromised immune systems that prevent the intervention from happening. Or there are also scenarios like the COVID-19 lockdown in which people who received regular animal-assisted therapy were not able to visit their therapy animals or assist to their regular sessions. And we have also some important situations that happen only at home when the therapy animal might not be present. And we have situations and feelings that we cannot replicate so easily during these sessions in person. For these reasons, we are exploring the role of animals as emotional companions and motivators that could facilitate extending the benefits of in-person animal-assisted therapy to the patient's daily activities throughout the week by means of technological interventions, especially aimed at home when the animal and the therapist are not going to be present. And specifically, we are exploring the design of a technological platform aimed at improving children's daily activities at home by relying on this human-animal bond as a motivator for conducting the therapeutic activity. So interventions that resemble or are based on this human-animal bond have some positive effects. And in fact, within animal-computer interaction research, we have studies on how technology could support this human-animal bond. For example, at the zoos, some studies have shown how these interventions could elicit empathic responses from the human visitors that last more than just during the in-site interactions. So participants could anticipate the event, and also they could reflect on the encounter after the visit. And also ATI-centered practices such as designing for an animal species can generate new perspectives and sensitivities towards the animal, allowing us to learn more about them and strengthening our bond with them. And this happens not only with the physical presence of the animal. So we have, for example, studies showing co-creation activities in which children envision games for and with animals, showing that children care about the animal's well-being, even but just reflecting on their designs without the need for the animal to be physically present during the activity. And we have also animal-based interventions in which animals intervene remotely that could positively impact humans' well-being. For example, viewing animal videos might reduce the stress levels of people facing an anxiety-provoking situation. Or if we think about hospital environments, there are studies in which watching live videos of animals or interacting with the animal in real time, as I mentioned, so to improve the mood of hospitalized patients. And also the use of digital representations of animals in therapeutic interventions could impact the participants' well-being and their engagement in the activities. There are works in which serious games like this one have used animal avatars to help children with autism in their social skills. And also studies around Alzheimer's in which patients use the tablet application that offer therapy activities using digital avatars in the form of dogs, showing that they could improve their emotional response and mood during the activities. And also the human-animal bond can be a powerful motivator and even have an effect on human behavior, even when we are using these digital representations of the animals. So there are studies, recent studies showing that humans modified their behavior when they were using a mixed reality environment to work an augmented reality dog. So they modified their behavior based on what the dog was doing. And also virtual pets have been used within interventions to promote physical activities, in this case, to reduce childhood obesity. And in these interventions, which lasted like 5 to 10 minutes every day, it showed that when the child was asked to perform several activities, they could show this virtual pet some new tricks. And children that had the opportunity to interact with this virtual pet every day engaged in more hours of physical activity afterwards than children that did not have this technological intervention. So based on all this research, the main goal of our project here is to improve everyday habits at home with a playful technological intervention for therapeutic activities that uses this bond with the therapy animal, in this case, as a motivator. So we follow the user-centered design process in which our design team was composed by computer science engineers and also researchers in human-computer interaction, animal-computer interaction, together with researchers and therapists in animal-assisted interventions from physiotherapy, occupational therapy, functional diversity. And we held a series of meetings online, approximately of 1 hour duration, so that we as computer scientists could understand the needs of the experts in animal-assisted therapy, and that these experts could understand the different technologies that are available and their possibilities and how to explore novel capabilities with them. We also wanted to focus on how COVID-19 affected the regular sessions and workflow, because we wanted to define a solution that could help both during the regular routines as well as during special situations such as the ones we have recently and unfortunately faced. We held a total of 5 sessions together via video call, and in between these joint sessions, we also had separate meetings. On one side, the animal experts, and on the other side, the computer scientist experts, so that each of us could discuss with co-workers or other experts in our area in order to provide new ideas into the next joint meeting. And from these sessions, we divided the decision-making of our design process into 3 main areas: the different users of the system and their roles, the activities that could be facilitated using the system, and the selection of the technology and devices to be used within the system. Regarding the users, we identified several potential users of this platform. First of all, the children who will be using the interactive technological platform to fulfill their daily tasks. And it was also envisioned that we could use additional devices in an non-intrusive way to monitor the activities as well as the impact that this intervention may have on the child, besides observational questionnaires or reports. So this information could also be useful for families and therapists to assess whether there has been an improvement in stress levels or after the technological intervention. Our next type of users are the parents and families who would help situate the child's context, needs, and preferences. They would inform the design of the therapeutic tasks and help prioritize the aspects they would like to work on at home. And also they would be responsible for managing the interventions at home, deciding when to start and finalize the activities based on the daily routines they have established, and facilitating the technological devices to the child. And last but not least, the therapists. It was discussed that they would work together with the families to define the therapeutic activities at home. So they would need a platform in which to define for each child the activities that would be suitable for the proposed and specific goals of that child. And in this platform, they could also, for example, upload media resources such as videos, images, audios that could support these activities at home. And also this platform should have information from the child's performance and physiological response, as we were mentioned before, so that we could give this information back to the therapists for their analysis. Regarding the activities that we could explore with the system, experts in animal therapy described to us how they work and the kind of experiences that animals can facilitate during their intervention. And they also describe how these interventions are designed and personalized, attending to the families and children's needs. And also we have mentioned that motivation is a key factor. So the activity should relate to the therapy animal, which is what better motivates these children during regular sessions to pursue their goals and achieve the proposed tasks. And the proposed activity should be aimed to extend the benefits of in-person animal-assisted therapy to the home. We also wanted to better understand which activities or daily routines at home were more problematic, more challenging to the families. So we sent a questionnaire online to these families to know more about their daily routines, specifically before bedtime, as this is something that will happen every day for every family. And also in the keynote, it was mentioned before, like the quality of sleep is a very important factor for these families. So if the daily routines happening before bedtime are stressful or are complicated, maybe the child is not getting good sleep, and also the family is not going to get a good sleep. That could have an impact on the next day. So this gets more and more complicated. So tackling this specific part of the day was really important for the experts in animal therapy. So we wanted to know how they prepare for dinner, bath, changing clothes, and which of these activities, if any, were challenging. The questionnaire was answered by 33 families who have a child with functional diversity. Their ages mostly range from 6 to 15 years old, with a few cases below 5 years old and above 15 years old. And the most frequently reported diagnoses were autism spectrum disorder and cerebral palsy. And their most frequent daily routines were toothbrushing, changing clothes, eating, showering, and reading. And almost half of the families reported that some of these activities were challenging in an everyday basis. So we were on the right path towards providing them tools to help working in these scenarios at home where the animal is not going to be present. And instead try to use the bond that the child has with the therapy animal to motivate him to perform these challenging activities in a more ludic way. And although there were commonalities in the kind of activities that were reported, each child is going to have his own preferences, his own way to communicate with the therapy animal, and his own way to approach or resolve a task. So the system should be flexible enough to support this personalization, as we have mentioned, so that each family could easily adapt the technology to their own specific situation. And we'll see a few examples in a bit. So once we have this set up about our users, their needs, the activities to work on, we focus on selecting the appropriate technologies to be implemented. And we started by presenting the therapists and experts different possibilities and state-of-the-art technology in natural user interfaces, giving them examples of work in relevant areas. And given that this intervention is aimed for at-home scenarios and that families could have a varied degree of familiarization with technological devices, the system should be easy to deploy and install, and it should also be familiar to them or easy to understand and use, also comfortable. We do not want to disrupt their daily habits, but rather support them. And we don't want the technology to be an interference and that they could feel, observe, or evaluate. We want them to behave as naturally as possible. So we wanted also to motivate the families to use this system and improve the adherence to the therapeutic technological intervention, and maybe have both the children and the families using this activity together, feel comfortable with it, and be involved in the process. And in this regard, we decided to focus on applications for smartphones or tablets, as its use is widely extended and the interactions with these devices would be familiar for the participants. And to provide a novelty factor and tackle this motivational factor to use a new application or technology, we propose the use of augmented reality with mobile devices. And the deployment and setup of such a system is pretty straightforward. It's going to be suitable for at-home scenarios, and it felt more adequate for children with these characteristics. For example, if we go for VR headsets, for example, these are more immersive, but have a more complex setup and require the child to be able to handle manipulation and having something around its head, which is something that not all children with autism, for example, might tolerate well. So the use of AR felt more appropriate in this regard. And also it has another benefit to support motivation that would be to share this experience together. They could all sit around the mobile phone and watch the screen together and interact together and collaborate to complete the tasks. And also AR allows to explore a real physical space. So the child is going to be able to work on his own space, adding digital content on top of it and work on current issues while these are happening. And another relevant aspect of the proposed technological solution is that it could facilitate measuring behavioral and physiological variables that could help us understand the impact of the therapeutic intervention. So the main aim of the technological approach in this regard would be that the proposed devices are non-intrusive at all and do not modify the spontaneous behavior of the participants. And some ideas along these lines were the use of wearable sensors, such as a smartwatch, which are commonly used, easy to configure, and could measure different variables, such as the heart rate, movement, sleep quality. And this data would be automatically acquired by the device, processed, and later shown to the families and therapists in a comprehensive way so that they could have more information about how the week, for example, went. So the system we have finally built is comprised of different components. First of all, for the families and therapists in this side, we have developed a web platform in which the therapists are going to be able to define specific tasks to work on in terms of the steps they have, digital objects in augmented reality that should appear on the screen, where they should appear, and so on. And then we have an augmented reality mobile application that serves two functionalities. On one hand, parents or families will be able to use this application to recognize physical real locations at home. Each home is different, and we want the augmented reality objects to appear in suitable locations at our own home. And we want to personalize it for our daily routines. So parents will be responsible for configuring where these objects at home are going to be placed and prepare the application to be ready for the children to later use it. And in this case, on the other hand, the children will be the ones using the augmented reality mobile app to initiate a specific task. And for this, they will explore with the camera the proposed physical location in the task and interact with the digital augmented reality objects that appear in those locations. And the app also features an augmented reality dog avatar. So interacting with augmented reality objects in this application would trigger that the child could win rewards, so kind of a gamification, like treats or food that he could later give to the augmented reality dog companion. And we will have also additional sensors to track the physiological status of the child. We are focusing currently on a wearable sensor on a smartwatch, but we could also have activity detection cameras, which are also non-intrusive and do not require the child to wear anything. So to illustrate this, imagine the following scenario. So imagine that we have a 9-year-old child diagnosed with autism, and let's call him Lucas to ease the explanation. So some of the things the family and the therapists are working with Lucas are to have a diverse diet. Imagine he only eats now specific foods, like he doesn't like fruit at all. And he also struggles brushing his teeth after dinner. So these activities cannot be practiced during in-person sessions with the animal, because, for example, sessions happen in the afternoon and Lucas has already eaten, so they cannot practice introducing a different meal. And Lucas' mother will share these concerns with therapists, and they will define together a set of tasks to be performed at home that could help her. So the therapist will define these 2 tasks in her web platform for Lucas, one for dinner time that will happen in the dining room and will consist of selecting augmented reality objects representing healthy food. And the other task will happen in the bathroom and will consist of picking up an augmented reality toothbrush. So Lucas' mother will arrive at home and use the phone to configure where these augmented reality objects should appear. So she will scan the dining room and the bathroom and place the objects where they should appear. And when dinner time arrives, Lucas' mother will pick her mobile phone and open the Therapy Dog app. And then the application will display the 2 tasks. They will click on the dinner time task and give the mobile phone to Lucas. And then the mobile application would explain to the child that he should go into the kitchen, for example, as there are hidden augmented reality objects placed around that room that he could pick up tapping on the screen. So once he's in the kitchen, the application opens the camera asks the child to look around through the phone and start displaying augmented reality food objects on top of the table, the chairs, the countertop. So the idea here could be, for example, that Lucas has to eat from his real food on the table. And for example, for each bite of fruit that he usually rejects, he could pick up a digital piece of fruit from the application. And those augmented reality fruits would provide rewards in the app in the form of digital snacks for his therapy dog that he could later use. After dinner, they could select the task through the brushing to go to the bathroom, explore with the augmented reality camera, and when the digital toothbrush appears on the screen, the child would be able to select it. And then perhaps a video of the therapy animal could be played. So the video could show, for example, the therapist brushing the dog's teeth, and could display as long as Lucas does the same with his teeth to help him focus and keep him more engaged and motivated, as they would do during an in-person session. And afterwards, they could both together open the augmented reality dog companion feature, which will open the mobile camera and show a digital augmented reality avatar of the therapy dog in the child's room. And there are also several augmented reality elements representing snacks around the dog's avatar, which would be the rewards that Lucas earned while performing these tasks. So the child could tap on the snacks and give them to the digital dog. So each week, the family could revise with the therapist what happened and revise these tasks and the evolution of the child, adapting the activities accordingly. So for example, if something did not work, it could be changed. If it was very easy, they could increase the difficulty, add new foods, add new kind of scenarios. So this could be personalized and evolve over time. So there are, of course, several aspects that should be taken into consideration. So we all know the limitations of the use of technologies such as mobile phones and tablets by children. So it should make clear to all stakeholders that this technology should be used as a complementary asset for the therapeutic activities, and it should never replace essential activities needed by these young developing children. And in addition, we are working with children with functional diversity. So it's of paramount importance to consider additional factors that could affect their well-being. So we are currently having a careful selection of the families and children that could benefit from the use of the proposed system, giving them appropriate information regarding the technology, the intervention, the behavioral aspects they should also observe. And regarding the animals, while the therapy animals are not going to be interacting directly with the technological platform, they are stakeholders in the design process as well, because, for example, at some point the therapist might need to record a video or a picture of the therapy dog performing an action, so that this could be a resource in the augmented reality application. So all therapists and animal handlers are complying with international guidelines to guarantee the wellness of the animal, both in direct or in virtual interactions in the system. So to conclude, we have proposed a technological platform aimed at improving children's daily activities by means of a playful technological intervention that relies on the human-animal bond that the children have with the therapy animal as a motivator. And we've described the design process with a team of experts, the definition of the system, and a case scenario to illustrate its potential use. And we are currently finishing the development of the system and plan to evaluate it in the upcoming weeks with families of children who participate in regular animal-assisted therapy sessions. And some future things we look forward to work on are comparing how these interventions could also help in other scenarios, such as children without any disability who could use the system to be motivated by gamifying, for example, chores at home, so they feel more engaged in these activities. Or perhaps improve the interactivity within the system, adding more reactive content or different kind of interaction modalities. We would also like to explore remote interventions with the real therapy animal. And also, it's interesting to evaluate the perception of the families and children towards the therapy animals when there's a technological intervention and when there isn't. So this would allow to explore the potential this kind of technology could have to foster better relationships with the animals. But overall, we believe that this technology, based on the family's insights and the powerful human-animal bond created with the therapy animal, could help to improve the quality of life of families with children with disabilities by extending, hopefully, the benefits that these sessions have outside the in-person scenarios and taking them at home. So I would like to acknowledge all the people and entities participating in this project. It's been an amazing year, and I'm really looking forward to testing it with the families we have right now. And I'll be happy to take any questions. And of course, feel free to reach out later on or in the upcoming days to talk more about this.